Guys!
Guys!
How you feeling?
We zijn het gaan wenen. It's very possible we'll cry.
Yeah. Hi guys! Hey, welkom back voor een andere episode van MENJI. En vandaag is een hele speciale episode. Ik en Faiza noemen dit ook een cry video because, als jullie kunnen zien, normaal zit ik hier altijd met twee, maar vandaag ga ik co-host Faiza Osman!
Onze energie, jullie.
And then we have my dad! Oh my god! Then we have Mohamed en Aminata. En vandaag zijn Mohamed en Aminata hier, omdat, zoals iedereen het weet, ze gaan vertrekken. En ik heb ze niet alleen maar bij MENJI laten komen, omdat ze hele goede vrienden van mij zijn. En Mohamed has been a part of, a big part, van sinds dat ik hier in Antwerpen ben aangekomen als eerste jaar. Eerste jaar struggling in AIO en zo. Ja, om dan nu zo te denken van nu ja, het laatste jaar en zo. Ja, dat is ja, stagiaire, Black History Month. So that means a lot for us. En eigenlijk ook niet alleen maar omdat ze vrienden zijn, maar ook omdat zij een grote stem zijn in de zwarte gemeenschap in België, in Antwerpen. Ze hebben ons heel veel gegeven, events, snap je, samen zijn, feesten. Dus ik wou hun zeker niet zomaar laten gaan zonder hun uit te nodigen op MENJI en te bespreken over hun ervaringen, hun parcours, hoe het was om te werken met de gemeenschap. You know, just to say like we will miss them a lot en dat wij dit wel willen hebben op video, iets dat altijd gaat blijven, dat iedereen hier naar kan kijken en dat zij ook ons dingen kunnen bijbrengen, dat we dit goed kunnen bijhouden. Zoals jullie zien in deze video, mijn stem gaat naar omhoog, mijn stem gaat naar omlaag, because your girl is emotional. I didn't expect this, yes, I'm very, ja, echt wel. So, daarom heb ik ook mijn co-host Faiza, who will today make this happen with me. We got this together, this cry video. Dus eerst laat ik Faiza zich voorstellen en dan Mohamed en dan Aminata. Let's go.
Hey guys! I'm probably just going to do the rest of the video, my side of the video in English because it's much more easier for me. Yeah, how do I introduce myself? I've been introducing myself a lot this year through Zoom and through other media. So I've been introducing myself so much that I don't even know who I am anymore, if that makes any sense. But long story short, yeah, I don't know, yeah, I moved to Belgium around 10 years ago. I love it and hate it here at the same time. I have a great ecosystem around me, including these amazing people. Yeah, and I'm here to support Kabea, Bichi,
everything.
Yeah. To do this amazing episode with two people that we admire and respect. So yeah, it's going to take a lot for me not to get emotional because I did last time. Yeah, that's basically it. And I would like Mohamed and Aminata to both introduce themselves too.
You can do it.
So yeah, I'm Mohamed Barrie, 29 now, and
Officially.
Officially.
We're lying to us about his age for like the last 5 years. Today I know he's 29 years old. Let's just make that clear, 29 years. What's your horoscope?
Mohamed is een boogschutter, I know.
Yeah, I don't tell people because then this whole conversation starts, and I'm like, but leave me out of this horoscope thing, huh?
Okay, sorry I cut you off. You're 29 years old.
Yes.
Sagittarius.
You have to put in rising moon, sun, I don't know, whatever. Fire sign. I'm a social worker by training, and I think I really love sports and just being around people and bringing people together. Yeah.
Yes, I'm Aminata Ndow and I'm 26
just turned 20. Yeah, just turned 26.
Whoa.
What's your
Leo.
Oh yeah, you told me that last time. I remember you saying, oh, you did not fit. Like,
Yes, I've always been confused by my sign. Especially because sometimes I tell people and you get like, oh, I was like, I know.
Their face and you're like, damn.
It's like, yeah, it's true though. So my birth records say no. So yeah, I'm 26 and my background is within history, philosophy, but very much focused on Africa, West Africa more so because of my own background. I have Gambian roots, and but also just the experience of diasporas is something that interests me. Both diasporas in Europe, but also the United States, North America,
Caribbean.
South America, Australia. So yeah, that's a bit about me, I guess. Yeah.
Thank you guys. Thank you. I'm so happy to have you guys here. Aminata Mohamed, it's been a lot. Heel veel goed nieuws. Maar ook wel dingen die denk ik heel overweldigend zijn. Hoe gaat het met jullie?
Good, but also like it's a very emotional time. Obviously, saying goodbye to like little pieces. I think for me, especially like the girls at City Pirates project I started with like Oscar, not the City Pirates, but like the girls department, which we started like 6 years ago from like 2 girls and then ending up with like a few teams. But also just seeing the girls who came in like very pre-teen are now teens, the teens are now early 20s. And those girls have been like everything in the sense of my growth as a social worker. And they've tested every aspect of my character.
Have they?
Yeah, wallahi.
Examples.
I
We need
mean,
examples. No names. Don't
no
name
names,
change.
definitely.
So we need some examples.
Well, I think
The cool and calm and collected Mohammed being tested by these young girls. What do they
well, I think it's just about, I started with like a European project I wanted to do, Shoot for Dreams, and then ended up staying as a coach, and then the last 1.5, 2 years I've been like overall coordinator of the girls and women's department. So in those years I've had moments where you've had girls who literally how would I put it? So we had this one moment where we were playing for the championship in like 2 weeks, and we only had one game we needed to win. If we win that game, the other 2 games we were gonna beat them for sure, because like teams were had whooped like clearly. And then these girls, well, some of them decided to go and fight someone. Wallahi, the most gangster shit ever. The most
Meet me at the park at 3 p.m.
No, you're joking. It was at the park. So legit.
I
So,
speak from experience. Guys.
so yeah, they were like, someone called me names on the internet. I'm not
That's
taking
not with
this.
me.
It's like, you know where I'm from? It's like, yeah,
Better not.
Saturday, I'm gonna see you there. It's like, and then they I don't know, Snapchat, IG, they went there, they fought, and
It happened.
yeah.
Oh no!
And then just dead ass get a phone call in the morning. Police. I'm like, what?
Oh no.
And then he was like, what? I was like, no, go back.
Rewind? No.
Yeah, I was like, okay. So then we had to call them all in, sanction half of the team, give like a forfeit score to the other team, which we actually.
What's a forfeit score?
It's like when you basically say we're not coming, we lose 5-0.
Oh, no.
Exactly. And it was like a team we really, I would
We're
not say
preparing
hate,
for, yeah.
but we really don't like, because of like we'd had racist issues with like racist parents. Because like this team, every time we play them, we really just want to whoop them.
Yeah.
Like we really want to whoop them. So
I'm
when,
like, yeah.
yeah, she's been to a few. Yeah, she's heard the stories and been to it. Yeah, so it's like, and then it was like that moment. I was like so pissed.
Yeah.
Oh my
Like
God.
not because of like they fought or whatever. They're like that happens.
Yeah.
But it's like because you work a whole year
Yeah.
towards this one moment,
Yeah.
and you just have 3 games left, and then you're champions, and all of that
Just went.
just went away.
What year was this?
I mean, 3-4 years ago.
Wow, because one go say, get up!
I swear. So it was like, yeah, things like that. So
Okay,
they've
so
really,
I understand the testing.
yeah,
Okay.
and but also just like some girls, they come in, and as a social worker, that's the thing, you have to be patient.
Yeah.
So you see they're going through a lot.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
you need, even though you see and acknowledge what's going on, you need to like respect their boundaries, their
Mhm.
pace, and what they want to share, how they want to move. So yeah, they've really learned me a lot about when to be patient, when to really press on. Okay, I know you don't want to do this, but looking at how things are going now, might happen.
Yeah.
So let's go.
Yeah.
I think it's also interesting, like the hard thing for you is to like see these girls, some of them, like, because of the context they're in, how they grew up, just see them like self-sabotage.
Yeah.
A lot.
Knowing, like seeing this potential,
Yeah.
knowing them
Yeah.
from knowing them personally quite well, and then to see them self-sabotage, and you can't do anything about it. Like, you have to just
Wait
let
and
it,
see.
Be by their side.
be by their side, and you can anticipate a bit.
Yeah.
But I think you've had a lot of just
Moments.
situations that you could just not at all expect that it would happen that way, and then
And how are you doing? How are you feeling this time you're
For
living?
me, I think it's like a lot of processing. Like I feel like because a lot of it is now very practical, especially this last 2 weeks. It's all very every day. Like we need to do this and this and this. So there's not that much time to really reflect on everything you're doing. So even though you're saying goodbye and you're being confronted with you leaving, you don't really think about it that much in that way. It's more like I need to pack,
Yeah.
I need to say goodbye,
Yeah.
but it doesn't go a lot
It's not
deeper than
clicking,
that.
yeah.
And I think so I'm still waiting for that moment when it's all going to be like, oh wow, this is what's going to happen now.
Yeah.
It's still, I don't know, but yeah, it's it is an interesting thing, like to leave and then things that you to realize also, I think especially with other people, to realize the connections that you have,
Yes.
all the different, and how, because you sometimes you just focus on like what you consider as like clear, like family, people you see like,
Often,
very
yeah.
often, but how especially I think for both of
Through the
us.
project, like
Yeah.
you didn't know, like for you to leave that will affect me, for
Yeah,
example,
yeah.
so much. But it's like Aminata from Ayo, from Black History Month, and now she's leaving, and people who went to the event are also touched.
Yeah,
And you're not ready for that. You're like, I never saw you before you
yeah.
But they know you through the project, so
Yeah.
it's like the project is leaving, you guys are leaving.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I think that's what people are feeling the most. And for me personally.
So and it's hard. I think it's hard for me because I always underestimate.
Yeah, the impact.
Yeah.
Because like you like the packing right now,
Yeah.
you're busy with like the clinical,
Yeah.
practical side
Yeah.
of events. You're used to you're busy with the clinical, practical side of the packing, but you're not really paying attention to, oh, this is what the end product was, and this is
Yeah.
how it stayed with people, and this is how
Yes.
people felt, and this is how it warmed people's hearts. This is how you created space for Black people. This is how you show them that this is a possibility. Like we have somewhere to go, we have somewhere to feel safe. Like these are all things that you've created throughout the years out of necessity because you felt like, in one hand, like we need this stuff, and then now you leaving, people connect you to those things that you both have created, and that you just je staat daar niet bij stil, you don't think
Totaal.
yeah.
En wat ik jullie twee ook wil vragen is dat, nu praten we inderdaad over al die mooie projecten die jullie in elkaar hebben gestoken. En dan jongeren die kijken, of mensen die opkijken naar Mohamed, jullie weten, of mensen die opkijken naar jou. Ik wil dat mensen ook altijd zo graag weten van die proces. Bijvoorbeeld als ik jullie vraag, wie was Aminata voor Black History Month en AYO en al die projecten die je hebben opgezet. En wie was Mohamed voor
tijdens,
dat.
nu.
Zodat de mensen gewoon zo weten van, you know what, you can do this. Like, dit was made for me, maybe dit is who you are right now. Is niet onmogelijk. Vertel ons, wie was Mohamed voor Mohamed activist? Mohamed die dingen schrijft, kolommen schrijft. Wie was Aminata voor Aminata die zotte lezingen geeft voor het mas en zo. Tell me about that.
Ik denk voor mij, ik denk dat ik zelf wel zo verrast ben dat uiteindelijk is wat ik ben gaan doen, zo AYO, Black History Month. Omdat, ik weet ook nog toen Mohamed vroeg om die AYO, dat er voor mij iets, I was very, very hesitant. Because I'm, for people who know me, I'm a huge introvert, and I do a lot of things on my own, and so like for me it's hard to imagine that things I do have impact more people than myself. It's always like when you say dat mensen naar mij opkijken, it's very weird. I can't imagine, like in my head I can't imagine that to be something real, I guess. But nee, maar voor mij, ik denk dat ik altijd dat ik ben altijd heel erg bezig ben geweest met de realiteit en de ervaring van iemand zijn met zwarte identiteit in een witte samenleving. Maar ik heb dat zelf altijd heel, want ik ben heel in een hele witte omgeving opgegroeid. Maar zo dubbel, want ik ben enerzijds in een hele witte omgeving opgegroeid, maar anderzijds ben ik heel veel terug naar Gambia gegaan. Maar daardoor, like, blackness, African identity, all of that was like divorced from Belgium.
Okay,
like,
I know.
Yeah, in Belgium it's like whiteness and the minute I'm out of there, so it's two very separate things. And I think for me it was mostly when I took a gap year. I was in Australia. I started reading a lot. It was the year like 2014, Michael Brown. That triggered like a lot that year. Because I suddenly had time, like I took a gap year, so I had time to like invest in reading up on like things that I wanted to know more about. So I really dove deep into that, and then I think when I came back, like, and I wanted to study history, because I did not know what I wanted to study after high school. I didn't know.
Damn, it was like trial and error for the rest of us.
And I was like, I don't want to do this thing where I study something and I hate it and I'm miserable. And because high school, I had a very difficult time during high school. My high school was very difficult for me because of personal things going on. And so I was like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to start university with dealing with like just, I don't know, like a lot. Just not being able to deal with it.
Because you finally had the chance to have that control. Now you wanted to do something.
Yeah, and so I was like, I'm just going to take that break, figure out what I want to do, and and I wanted to study history because I wanted to study African history. And so I started. That was not what I got. I quickly realized, like, I mean, that's not gonna be it. But and I think then, but for me, it was like, yeah. I mean, I'm still going to like focus on what I want to focus on. Like that's my, and then I have like what I have to study, but that's something else. And so when I met Mohamed and he was mentioning IO, like for me it was it was like, oh,
The hell you went from school.
it was like, yes, it was like double because I saw it as like, yeah, it's great, it has to be there, but would I, like, am I going to be in those, like, would I be in those spaces? I don't know, it's so alien because I'm either just, in the space I'm in, which is a white space because of class, school, hobbies, or I'm just on my own and doing my own thing. And but the reason why I then did say like, okay, I'm going to join, we'll do this IO, was because like, and I told you then like, oh, okay, that's the way to introduce Black History Month. So for me it was
a stepping stone.
It was a step because I always
You were thinking ahead, like we were in the stress. Eerste bestuur en IO die groep Hey, ik ben daar getest. I can walk on water after that. Leave my degree.
Yeah.
Anti-stress, nee.
No, that's the first.
So you were seeing it as a stepping stone basically for Black History Month.
Yes, but because for me, I the only way I felt comfortable to join and to create is if like I'm very clear. Okay, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Like I have
what's your target?
Yes.
Yeah.
So like,
what am I working towards?
So okay, I'll be doing this specific. This is what I'm going to be focusing on, and then from there we building up because I've always wanted to create things. Like for me, it's like I always envision projects, and I think that's where Mohamed and I kind of found each other. Where I think I'm very much like thinking things out conceptually.
Amazing. Yeah.
And Mohamed is very much about then, okay, and then how
do we realize it?
Yeah, realize it, and what needs to happen. And that's like how a lot of these projects came to be, I think. Yeah.
You see people, even though you say I'm shy, I cannot.
I'm an introvert.
I don't like talk to people. I don't like people. You see?
Get your Mohamed.
I think it's really
Just thinking and then get you somebody to go.
There will be someone.
I'm joking.
Als iemand die niet zo je kwam in die eerste groep daar van wij allebei die eerste bestuur. Oh joh. God bless you.
It was definitely a hurt, but I'm very happy that I did that.
You did.
Yeah.
Let's go. Mohamed. Who was Mohamed before Mohamed? Okay. Let me not hype it up. Mohamed activist. Mohamed the boss van Antwerpen.
Still getting my bike stolen. Just stealing my bike for no reason. Why?
But you don't have that problem anytime soon, Like in a couple of days.
Don't wait. Don't
Okay,
stick to
my bad, guys. Sorry.
Yeah,
Who was Mohamed before all of this? How did you get into this?
I think I grew up in Sierra Leone, in Guinea-Conakry, and Abidjan, Ivory Coast.
Hey,
Et coupé décalé ici.
That's why all the influences are in there. Because obviously, I really was in those places. And then when I was like 12, 13, my grandma got very ill. And my parents decided like, okay, it's better to bring the kids out here. Because the plan was never for me to be in Belgium. Like, it was never on my parents' mind. But unfortunately, with my grandma getting ill, and then it was like, okay, we're going to Belgium. Okay, but it was never like going to Belgium. It was going to my parents. So when I arrived here, it was all about, oh, I'm with my parents. It was really about that the first few years. So I was just like this kid being a child again, because I used to live that like few years without my mom and dad. So it was me being a child again, just being in the house, enjoying the time with my parents, basically. So yeah, that for me was really it in the first years in Belgium. And there was already a lot happening. Like later on, you figure out, oh yeah, there was like some racist stuff, whatever. That was all happening, but the most safest space was just I'm with my parents. So obviously, then I think around the switch from schools, because first I went to like a very mixed, even like what they would call like a very
Bad school.
Yeah, because of the amount of non-white peoples in the school. But for me, that was home. That was lit. Like, that was
I was having a good time.
I was legit having a good time.
I was enjoying myself.
Yeah. And the reason was because, like, if I think about it, the people that are still like my two closest friends till this day.
Oh, the ones at the wedding?
Yeah. Alexis and Mamadou, the one that read the Quran.
I took a video of that. It was amazing.
So yeah, I met those guys there, and everything in that school was like, they did not babysit me. They did not think I was less. They did not think I was more. They were really focused on who are you, what are your interests.
You were just existing.
Yeah, and they were like, okay, we know it's difficult coming into this system, so let's figure out ways to enable you in whatever you wanted to do.
You know how important that is. Shout out to that school.
Yeah, Spectrum School out.
What school was it? Drop the name.
Spectrum School out. No, like I really, and I think for me that was, if I did not had that, then my life would have been so different. And then I went to like a very stud school, like Sint Lieve.
Oh, Sint.
Yeah, so there was just going through the motions of going to school.
How many years were you there?
I was there from like 3rd till the 7th, so like a long, so yeah, there I really became conscious about like what's going on and whiteness, and because in the other school I felt it from the system, because I was like an understalig newcomers. I could not do certain things, even though the grades were there, where they were like, yeah, because you were not born here, or you did not went to this and this, so you can't do this and this. But that was like from the system, because everyone in the school, all the teachers were like really pissed and really supportive. And then they were like really there for me and the family. So when I went to the other school, I did not see the system, but I noticed like teachers acting up differently, making like certain jokes that was like really not okay. But all of that was like just like
you were just
I was going through.
You're being a child.
What are you gonna do?
But you're also not thinking about it. You're just a child. You know?
And I think so. Then I had that, and then around like 5th, 6th, and 7th, I started meeting people who were like older and black, who were also like much more into, oh yeah, come with me to this, come with me to that. And also I think mostly at that age I was reading a lot, so people like kind of noticed I liked reading, would kind of like, oh, you should do this, you should do that. So I had like a lot of people giving me a lot of resources all the time, because they could like see, okay, I love playing football, but that was not the only thing I did. They saw these other things, and they gave like, they literally was watering me with a lot of these things. So that's why I also knew what I was going to do after high school, because because of like, I was like, oh yeah, actually what fits into me is social work. So once I figured that one out, I was like, yeah, I'm going there. And then I went to like whole school. Fast forward my first 6 months, I was really like, it's boring in here. Because I was at KDZ before.
What's KDZ university?
Yeah, university college. So then I remember just like this thing in me wanting to do stuff, just wanting to do stuff.
Okay.
So the first thing that really triggered me doing stuff was like, like an organization in Boyat Al Ikram. They were just getting started around that year, but they were doing like amazing work for like homeless people. So I was like, okay, what can we do as social work students? Because I'm not just gonna sit here in the class and talk about poor people.
I want to like my diploma to do something.
So yeah, I was like, yeah, why is no one in the campus who are students or teachers doing anything? So that's when like the crazy idea Mohammed really came out, like, oh, actually, why don't we like, it really started like this, why don't we sell roses during Valentine and stuff? But because we have rich teachers, we can sell a lot, and then students probably will buy, but we will really target like the teachers and everyone around in the management, and then use that money to give it back to people doing work in the community. And then I just found like crazy people that were like,
Do you have money?
It's like, I'm gonna work with you. Let's do this.
like legit. So those 3 years at KDG was just me doing a lot of projects that till this day, like a lot of people from that time were like, oh yeah, remember when we did this? I was like, oh yeah, we actually did. How did we do that? We had no money.
You actually got away with it?
Wow. Let's go spirit. Let's go.
Exactly. So, and then I did my Erasmus in Denmark because I really wanted to do something that had to do with youngsters, and the program in Denmark was really fitting.
Because I was wondering, Denmark, it's cool.
I really not
It's a
choose.
wonderful system for socials.
For social work,
for
yeah.
social work. Very nice.
Well, if you're in there, you're really good. If you're not, well, yeah. So for me, it was like really not about the country. It was really about what I wanted to learn. So it was about children at risk, children that have been through divorce situations, how that affects them. Just a lot of like children in really precarious situations, and that was really something I really wanted to learn and be better at dealing with that. So I went there, but it was the first time as well in my all this moving around from country to country, coming to my parents, dealing with a lot of stuff in Belgium, that I was alone.
Okay.
So I was in Erasmus, but I knew no one there.
How did you deal with that? The loneliness, being somebody who's part of community all the time, being around people, growing up in different places, but still finding community there, and then finding yourself in Denmark.
I enjoyed it.
Okay.
And I really embraced that loneliness, that emptiness, to really reread things. I started rereading a lot, watching documentaries. I really dove into the things, but at this moment I was coming from a point of Black consciousness. Because it was always there in a way, but that was the moment I really could understand what articulated, started writing. Because that's the moment I started just like, I always had a lot of notes. I started writing articles from those notes. Like a lot of things that got published after that were all written in Denmark or started there. So I also like, that's something actually. I wrote like 5 letters to like my mom and dad, to my brother and sister, and then one to my aunt in Canada, because those are like the people I really love. Just my mom and dad telling them like, when I'm coming back to Belgium, I just feel I'm gonna be thrown into this life of working in the community, speaking out, and I don't like, we all know history and we know what happens to people like that usually. And I know my mom is really scared of like things like that. So please accept that this is something I really want to do and I really find myself in. And I'm sorry if I'm like gonna be different or whatever, like, but this is really something I want to do. And this is where I find peace now, and this is what I really want to do. So, and I think Allah really saw me at that moment, and from that moment, He always placed people in my life, like Aminata and other people, that were just there to contribute, help, and co-create. So literally, after coming back in the first 3 weeks, I met Dino, who was like, because I had like a plan of what I wanted to do. Like I really came in focus, yeah. I really focused. So I was like in filmmaker, and then Dino, who I knew but never really talked to, was like, "Ah, je bent toch die ene Mohamed." And then we're sitting there, I was like, "Oh." He's like, "What do you do?" He's like, "I'm in Kila." I was like, "Really? What's that?" It's like, and he was explaining. I was like, "Oh, let me like going into your laptop and like he turned it like, hey, read this." It's like, "Oh my gosh, it's basically what we want to do." And then
moved on from there.
From there,
But you know what's so interesting? I don't know if you guys have noticed this from each other, but like you both took time outside of what you're used to then dive into blackness, to dive into how you dance with that idea of blackness, how it comes to you, or what you feel about it, how do you experience it. But you are not doing it in environments that you are part of. You're doing it outside, and actually more white kind of environment, because you were in Australia and you were in Denmark. And I wonder to what extent like you guys realize that from each other, and you guys have had conversations about, because you also talked about reading a lot when we were talking earlier, reading a lot in Australia at the time, and him too.
It's I've
never had that conversation.
no.
Now look at me.
I feel bad. But I think because I did not add of it, but I went to Australia and I was supposed to be there for a whole year, and then I made the very I made the decision to leave earlier and to go to Gambia from there. And then I was in Gambia like by myself for like 2 months, just staying in a house alone.
Also,
with just books that I bought and wanted to read, and all I did was like read. Yeah, I was gonna read and like see people, but I was there without family. Like
what you knew, what you're used to, and to what extent also. Sorry, I'm just going off script, but it is what it is.
No, let's go.
At your wedding, you had what's his name, Jan?
Yeah.
To what extent did he play a role inside?
Because he didn't.
First of all, explain to people who Jan is first.
Yes. So Jan is like a family friend. Like he's family in the sense that he's a cousin of my granddad from my mom's side. So my white granddad, and but we actually like as a family my mom and dad became close. Him and my mom met my dad, and from there the connection came because he's a priest, and he lived in Congo for like 17 years and worked there, and then lived in Rome for a while working for the Vatican. So he's been like he knows Africa, for example, very well because he was there for a while. So he became very close to my dad, and then so I always knew him as Jan de Moon, the family friend, like you know, like someone that we saw like every year, like we would have to do this trip together. So and then when I was in Gambia for that after Australia, he joined. I think the final 3 weeks because he always goes to Gambia just to read and just brings books and just sits there and reads. And then so it was interesting because that's what I was doing. So we connected there. Where it was just the whole day we would both be in the house somewhere reading and then meet each other during lunch and dinner and just discuss a bit what we've been reading. And so from there that connection built. But yeah, it's true. I think the observation made like this
beautiful,
this kind of going
Similar.
out of the what you know and then discovering what you want to like know and invest your time and energy in, because I think that before really going away I did not know, like I really would not have known what I wanted to do going on. So I will always advise people to, if you can, just take
Just take care.
take
But it's also
spot,
like, because for me right now, like, I don't know if a lot of people know, but just in general, I finished uni, and so I was talking to you earlier also. You're telling me, Faiza, I'm a fan of gap years, and you told me that I did gap year, but this every single possible moment that I could do it, I did it. And so now I'm just figuring out how to fill in that time, and that time when I do feel lonely, and I'm just wondering, okay, how is it that I'm going to be productive? Because a lot of me, I associate a lot of myself with things that I've accomplished, and I'm trying to distance myself from that. And I do not know how to do it, and it's kind of learning how to walk again, kind of, you know, because you're like, okay, who am I? And so that's why also right now when you're telling me to introduce myself, I'm like, I don't know where to begin. I don't know how to say this is who I am outside of academia. You know. So it's just it's a learning curve, and I'm going to embrace the craziness and the loneliness and the confusion as it comes, I guess. So if you have any advice, feel free to let me know. And those floating gap years, you know.
Yes, I think just like know that they're going to be like very low, deep moments where that you will have like deep lows and deep highs, but it's strange sometimes, because when you're going through these deep lows, it's like, why would I? Like, this is awful. Like, this is not what I signed up for. And then when you look back, like, time has passed. It's like, I guess I couldn't. That was just part of the package deal. Like, you can't have one without the other. And that's when you realize a lot of things, and being busy takes that away, of course.
Absolutely. And I love being busy. Lord knows I do. So but it's like, I once read this article when I was in Australia, and it stuck with me so much, and I ever since I send it to a lot of people. It's called the disease of being busy, about being like busyness as this state where you're not at ease. So it's for people who want to look it up. So the disease of being busy, but I don't know if are they like show notes?
Yes, I can put it on.
But it's from, I think, Omar Safi. And I
Well,
sent it
he's
to that just like that just changed a lot, knowing that when I think like I'm just and also being in Ghanaian, like being both productive and being productive either way, doesn't matter what I'm doing, while I'm thinking like, I'm wasting time, because being in Gambia, you do a lot of waiting. There's a lot of waiting, waiting for people, waiting for transport to go somewhere, waiting for something to arrive. So you have to wait a lot, and it's not really about. It is also about patience, but I don't know. I feel like patience is something else, but it's really just about waiting
and being okay with that waiting.
And being okay with the time how it goes.
And then time just goes, because I was very consumed with time, because I was like, am I going to be able to spend so long here? I've made a mistake. I should have just gone back home. This is too hard. And then before you know it, time goes by, and you have your difficult moments, you have your good moments, and you just take it all with you.
Amazing, guys. So y'all meet there. Y'all been outside Belgium, been through a lot, came back to Belgium, and then as far as I can remember, is that your first action really, like, I knew like this Mohamed Barrie and this is what he does, and I was in Opwek in my village. Really, I finished high school, and I said, I look around. I said, girl, you alone.
Yeah.
And then I was on Facebook. I see Antwerp is moving. Things are happening. I said, Mohamed Barrie. En dat was echt met Kilalo. Zo heb ik haar gekend. Echt zo begon, de eerste ding met Kilalo. Hoe was het om met Kilalo zo een beweging te brengen in Antwerpen? Want dat was het voor mij. Ik kwam naar België, letterlijk omdat ik zoveel activiteiten zag van Kilalo. En dat mij interesseerde. Hoe was dat voor jou? As young you were at that time, starting with Kilalo en alles van jullie. En ik weet niet of ik dat mag zeggen, maar dat jouw carrière toch wel zo wat gestart is bij Kilalo voor een groot stuk. En hoe was dat voor jou? Werken met Kilalo en everything dat jullie hebben samengemaakt en ook jouw vertrek. Hoe was die ervaring?
Ik denk dat like you have two things. You have me writing, publishing. That was like just a few before Kilalo, and then me stepping into the space of community organizer. So coming into Kilalo was like, okay, we have a mission. Our mission was, okay, we have a community, and what are we lacking in the communities of Black people? Education-wise, you have like a gap in which people that need help can't find help. So, okay, we're gonna do tutoring classes so that we engage kids together in these spaces of learning, but also the other side is engage them in a cultural space, and that was my calling. So when I came in Kilalo, I was like, okay, the cultural things, that's me. So I was not in the education team. That was like Emmanuel and other people. I was basically then doing everything cultural. And in our cultural team, the mission was very clear. It's like, what's going on? What are people talking about? What are the fears? What are the hopes? What are the dreams? And how can we curate spaces, events that speak directly to those concerns? So once that mission was understood, I was also like given it was really cool. It was like really a home because of like, for instance, like Charlotte, Helene, who was also in the team. Forgetting two people, but those.
Shout out to you guys. My soul sister.
I'm forgetting two people, but it's just like Helene, Charlotte.
Stop it.
Yeah, you know who you are.
We're simply
Take yourself.
Basically, yeah. No, but like Helene and Charlotte, I think they were like always really close to me. And then you had other people in the team, but I think they were also occupied with other things, so they were not always in the team like that. But Helene and Charlotte were literally like, Mohamed, they trusted me so much. Like, just go for it. Like, we have your back. Like, we know like how your brain goes all over the place and comes back. But just whatever you're thinking or whatever it is, let's go. And the love and trust I felt at that moment was really what just set me free to whatever I thought I wanted to do. Or, like, they were like, yeah, let's go. We will make it happen. And then we really had a good blend of like people who were creative and people who were just like very good with like little other stuff that also needs to be done, like administration, planning events is one thing, but the logistics behind events is something people usually don't think about. So we had like Fidel who was really good at that. So the blend of that was just like gunpowder, like boom. Just going, because everyone was so focused, even though we were like, but we always knew what we were doing. And then I was just set free to do whatever I wanted to do. So then I was like, Kunsthaar Festival, African World, this. And
it was electric. The Royal Ball, amazing. Yeah.
So it was just like, and I think there was also like that dynamic within Kilalo is something I really, for me, was family.
Yeah.
And that was also what made me so sad when I had to leave, or when I decided to leave, was because of like everyone in my house. Like my mom was invested, my sister was invested, my dad was invested. My brother was not always here, but he would support all the ways he could. Like my mom would never do stuff for people, yeah. Well, she used to do a lot, and then she just stopped.
Yeah.
When I was like, we're doing this, she's like, for the kids, and then the community, like,
yeah.
I'll be there, I'll cook,
Amazing.
whatever she could,
Yeah.
she poured into it. My dad would be like, oh yeah, the
Invite
right people,
someone.
yeah, we'll be there. But also like other people's families were doing the same.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the work people did not see. But it was not only us, the kids, doing, but also our families enabling us to do it.
Wow.
So that is, I think, what made Kilalo so
Magical. at that
just
point.
so magical at that point, because it felt like everything clicked. And then the issue was, okay, now we're moving forward. And then you always have this thing of like people that started it, because we came in like a year later, because Kilalo already existed in a form. And when we came in, we really just pushed it all the way out to the public, because then Kilalo was everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
And I was always like adamant about it, because I was not really trying to be that much in white mainstream. Like I understood the difference between working in the community and dealing with the outside world. As we can do stuff there, and we can approach and work together with people, but that's not really that's not our goal. Our goal is really creating something that's strong within the community and serving the community. So I think that was already like something that was like, not everyone maybe thought the same about that.
Yeah.
And then coming from people who were a bit older than us, and we were there, I was a kid, I was like 22, like just a kid.
A magic kid.
There was really this thing where, so we then navigating spaces, but also dealing with politically people trying to really just take what you've been doing in the community and trying to brand it for like a political party. So me and Manuel were always like, but also then there was like this moment where, because the actual plan for IO was to be created as a surrogate to Kilalo. The idea of IO was this: we could not create IO within Kilalo, because we had you did not have, like, how do you call it?
A mandate.
A mandate as a outside organization to work within institutions of like higher learning. So we needed to create something within
the
higher learning spaces. So the idea was for those things to be, basically would have been everyone in the IO bestuur would basically go into Kilalo to do community work, basically as the Black Panthers literally did with like the breakfast program, where you would have members of the party work in the breakfast program. That was the idea. So you would have like this circle of them being in higher education, inspiring those younger kids by not only giving them classes, but also taking them outside to do stuff. And then when those kids will like go into higher education, they would literally do the same, because your community took care of you. So now you spiritually own the community something. It's not just like this material thing, but you really would feel it as a person that, people gave time for me. They made sure there were events and
I gotta give back.
I gotta give back.
I gotta do something too.
Exactly.
Yes.
But then somewhere in there, we all got lost in translation, and was like, I don't know, it just went off. Like you really felt like the energy was off. Yeah. And then it was like, okay, then we are just
we're not on the same page.
No, we're not on the same page. We're not, because I think that's like, because a lot of people will always ask like, what was that feeling for you? I think like being in relationships and breakups and stuff like that. But that was the thing that hurt me the most ever in my life, leaving Kilalo, like legit. That really like, it really shook me to like in my core, because of like, oh yeah, but why are you guys wanting to do this like that? because it's not possible. That's just how this system has been set up. We cannot do it. You guys want to do things for individuals? Like, no, please.
Quite the opposite,
It's the
actually.
opposite because this is the plan. Here's the organigram. Here's the structure. Go through the papers. It's all in there. But it was like as if something would let's just say Shaitan came in between us, and we could not see. People were not seeing the longer plan because it's like we're not going into Ohio to create something next to Kilalo. We're not gonna stay there long. Like legit, we're gonna be there for 1-2 years and we're gone, and a new generation will take over. We're not like we have way other things we want to do, but it needs to be created.
It needs to be started.
Exactly. So then, unfortunately, we decide like
we have to part.
the feeling really like you were working with was not there anymore. It was better to really just leave and find a way to deal with the situation. So we left, drafting the papers, started looking around. Then I met Ami, and then we discussed, sent like some stuff to read, and then IO was created. But the idea was never for like me leaving Kilalo. That was like literally like I rejected so many jobs in between those. Like I was like in my second last year of like bachelor's, and I was getting like this job offers like, because obviously people see your name popping and like come and work for us. But I was like, nah, the only place I'm gonna work for, I see myself working in, is like a community space, and the idea is to take Kilalo to like a visit way and really have the money to employ ourselves and work within the community. That was like my life goal at that point. So when Shaitan came
and just
I was so sad, like bruh. I was so sad. You remember me coming to your place crying the hell out. Like literally that really. So after that I was like, I really needed to
just decompress.
Yes.
Yeah.
How do you guys?
I don't want to project too much in the future because those questions are going to come and I'm going off script, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
How do you guys stop that from happening right now with what you're doing with regards to BHM and with regards to all the other Crusade Festival also? How do you kind of rally the troops, if that makes sense, and stop things from going off script, I guess, and everybody's on the same page, and this is what we're trying to do. We want to, on the one hand, yes, if need be busy with these institutions and I guess the white space and the white mainstream, and on the other hand, say, but we're still here for the community. So we're going to serve the community first, and we're going to make sure that everybody who's part of this project understands that. How do you keep that message alive, learning from the experiences that you had in Canada, for example? Like right now, how are you guys doing?
Another shoot.
I don't know. I think that's what you.
Yeah, I think it's something I've just learned to exhibit who I am to people that I trust or want to work with me. Like, if I really wanted individual success, trust me, like a few years ago, I would have went mainstream and did those things and put myself out there like on that level. But just look at what I'm been trying to do and the way we have been trying to do it. That should tell you who I am. And for me, that was the most important thing. Even now, when people come into the team, that's what I'm trying to project and making them really see and feel. Like, yeah, it's cool out there, but what we're trying to do is not being cool out there. We're trying to be cool within the community. So I think everyone that comes in, Aminata does a brilliant job with that, like with the framework we've created with Black History Month. Like we work every year within a framework. I think that really helps everyone just be mindful, like we're working in this framework. So there's like a conceptual philosophy behind what we're doing, and that's why we're doing it. It's not just because let's just do some events and no.
Yeah.
There's like a framework of this event.
There's a plan.
Yeah, and then I think also everyone coming into Black History Month thus far have also understood that message. And if they don't, I think it's something we then are finding ways to communicate that to them.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work, then it's okay. They can also leave.
Yeah.
It's not an issue. It's like
Mm-hmm.
still have the respect, but then you just know what they want to do and how we want to do things doesn't work.
Yeah.
And you can
And that's
mutually in respect just be like, all right, we cool.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Right.
Because like right now, we are talking about Black History Month. There might be some people who do not necessarily know how it came about. This baby of Black History Month has grown into its own monster, good monster.
Cookie monster.
So maybe, Aminata, you can tell us more about Black History Month and its conceptualization, its understanding the whole framework, how it started, because earlier you were telling us about the giving of blood and how you're talking about that's going to follow the four of us till then. How that came about, like that whole idea of Black History Month and how you also brought that into your relationship and everything.
Yes, I think like when IO started, that was immediately something on the agenda that we would try to initiate.
But before even you met him, you also had already the idea of Black History Month in your head?
Yeah, just because of like studying history and feeling this lack of connection to whatever I was learning about. There was just no when it comes to like Africa, but also just when it comes to because I feel like a lot of times people think about history, for example, now, and especially Black History Month, and they also, it's history, Africa.
Yeah.
But I always saw those two things as like separate as well as connected, but in a sense, yeah, you have like history, African history about the African continent, and then you have like the history about the place you're in, like Belgium,
the diaspora.
Europe, yeah, like that, and I just thought it was wrong to assume that only, especially like being born here, growing up here, that anything that has to do with you is completely separate then from this place. Because then when it comes to history, you need to go to Africa and African history.
Yeah.
So when it's about you, it's like, oh, it's the African history. It's like, yeah, that's true, but I also have a claim.
Roots and space.
Yes,
here.
Yeah. So why do I feel disconnected from history when it's not about Africa? And why am I supposed to only feel connected when it is about Africa?
Yeah.
And I think then when we wanted to do Black History Month, it was really like, for me, it was really about about the experiences of Black people in Belgium. Just that, it's just about centering the way we make and reflect and feel about the past in Belgium, like very much that focus, and I think then when Mohamed and I, because it was in like December, when we started thinking like, oh, okay, we want to have this, start with these Black History Months. When are we going to do it?
Were you studying at the time?
Yes, so that was my
wild.
Yeah. They're blocking the period, like how the hell? Yeah.
That was It was I don't know. I think it was my second. Yeah, it was my second year, and so then we very last minute were like, okay, there's not a lot of time.
It's March.
Because we
I
decided.
heard Black History Month last minute.
It was very, like, I remember then when I was, it was really like, okay, we need to like
get going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because we had a very full program.
Hey,
Was a lot.
fool, was a lot.
It was a lot.
Yo, you never know, so boom.
Yeah, everyone was like,
Poor people.
yeah, it was just so yeah, but that's when we made like two very like pivotal decisions. One, so it's going to be March, not in February, because we really wanted to just be a month that felt fitting at the time for creating Black History Month. February didn't make a lot of sense for us.
October neither.
October neither, yeah. So it was just like, okay, let's go for March. Okay. And then the other thing was to work with a team and to have like teams that tie everything together, because we didn't want it to be this thing like, okay, Black History Month, okay, anything that has to do with Black or Africa, we'll do something, doesn't really matter.
Okay.
There. Like,
yeah.
It was more like, no, because we do want there to be a conversation that is had where we're all like talking about something together and not like, well, we'll do something and
sporadically all over the place.
And it's also to combat the laziness of institutions, especially to just, and also because it makes to protect ourselves from, because then let's say some white institution will just do anything, then it's say like, well, it obviously does not.
It's not
It's
part
not
of.
That's part of what we're talking about. Like,
The door is closed.
Because if you just be like talking,
understand.
if you guys had the theme of mental health and they start about food, you're like,
Yes.
okay, that's possibly there. So it's definitely not part of Black history.
Yeah, and especially because then it's also just very clear because when it isn't, and you see that that I think for a lot of these institutions that was the frustration. Then it's like, oh, but because it's
We
easy.
have a Black person this month, isn't it? Like,
squeeze into it.
What are they
Yes,
talking
you
about?
see that they don't really
Do they
like
fit
that.
the team?
That
No,
there's
okay,
a
no.
team and that they need to put in effort.
Yeah.
In that sense. But I think that's kind of how it's.
And to what extent were you guys? Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. Let's go.
To what extent were you guys also like inspired by the story in the States? Because I know also being part of Black History Month, like when going to conversations, the way the system is set up, you do have to work with these white institutions to some degree, and we had to also explain, okay, this is something that organically started here. However, there is this whole history of Black History Month in the States, in Canada, UK, but mostly people connected with the United States. And how were you able to say, okay, there is some type of connection with that Black History Month, but it's its own thing here in Belgium? Like, how would you guys do that? Because for me, I remember there's a lot of frustration in trying to also explain that. I remember asking, send me the PDF again. Yeah.
I think that was also the thing with a few people from within the community as well in the first, second edition as well, where they were like, yeah, but we don't just want to do American things. And then for me, that was very insulting of our intelligence in a sense, and especially from someone watching you do all this work and writing out all these things.
Yeah.
And for people not reading things or not just going on the website, like for them to just like this very lazy way of like, yeah, that's just American. I was like,
What American is it?
Yeah, stuff like that. I was like, no, bruh, there's legit a website explaining how we respect what Carter G. Woodson started with the Negro History Week, and that being Black History Month in the US in February. We respect that tradition. We feel inspired and motivated by that. But we recognize the fact that in Belgium, the history of Black people is quite different, and we see why a month like this could help us as communities to really use this month to focus, to discuss, to enrich ourselves, So for the remainder of the year, we can use what we learned and took in that 1 month to spread it throughout the year.
Yes.
And for me, it was really something. I think you were just like, yeah, nah. For me, it really felt insulting because I could see the work she was doing. So I was like, yo, read the damn website. Come on now. Don't be just like throwing critique or whatever. Yeah. And that's the thing. I don't mind
critique, but if it's based in some type of
if
constructive,
constructive, you've done your research. Not just these lazy everyday things people would say, and especially not if it's someone that's in the community.
That's what,
If it's like from white institution, that was easy. We would just give them the PDF, like read, here's the website, read, and then we'll talk with you. We're not wasting time explaining something to you that's on the website. But if it's like from the community,
people you
would actually
exactly,
then I would expect you to respect the work we're doing. So just read up on it. And then if you have concerns, we then will have a conversation, which we're always open to, but not like in that dimension of is like nieuwe zoiets Amerikaans, like mensen hier willen doen. It's like actually it's not.
It's not.
Yes, and hearing you talk about the community and the things that maybe just not went wrong, but people were not understanding. Because sometimes people think like the work you guys are doing, oh, you're working with black people, you're working with your own community, so it's easy, you know, like you are in your element. Like sometimes I hate when people say that, oh, you're doing, you are working with this and you are in your element, you're with your people, but it's not that simple. Wat is volgens jou, volgens jullie twee, onze grootste werkpunten in de community to work together? Geef mij misschien 3. Let's go.
Jullie hadden niemand in tien trappen, just do you.
I am part of the community. I am asking this for myself.
You guys just go,
Ik denk één werkpunt is toch vertrouwen hebben in elkaar. I think there are a lot of like these misconceptions that we have. I think we have that. I think we don't realize maybe how many things that we assume are a certain way, or people are, or how people are a certain way, or will act a certain way based on these ideas that we have, and that we act on that, or we don't act on that. So I think that keeps people away from something instead of investing in it, and so I think like having that trust, but also I guess openness to what isn't very familiar, because I feel like that is staying in a comfort zone, and being able to imagine outside of that, because a lot of times it's very much this is the way things are for us, or this is what we do, or this is what we're interested in, or this is what we show up for, and you notice that people there's a bit of a difficulty of expanding that, and saying like, oh, maybe this as well, or maybe this is also something we can be part, talk about, do. So I think that's one.
So she said 2 things: trust, vertrouwen, en ook openheid en uit jouw comfortzone. Thank you. As part of the community, thank you for letting us know. We're gonna work on that, Mohamed.
Yeah, I think to build on that, we need to realize that our own frameworks from which we operate towards other black people. And I think a lot of people don't realize that they're also trapped in a capitalistic competition-based way of thinking.
Yeah.
Competition, that was the word.
So, and it very much ties into this crabs in a barrel theory
Yeah.
where it's not like we don't want things to happen in the community, but we want to be the one making it happen. So
Yeah.
that tied into like this capitalistic way of seeing people as competitions and zero sum game
That it can only be a few black people
Yeah.
doing
that
this
things
stuff.
instead of
Only space
opening.
for everyone.
Exactly. And I think that if we can, and for me, it's this thing where I'm like perfectly okay with someone being very clear to my face, like I'm a capitalist, and it's okay. It's like the thing. It's okay.
I came here to take.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's okay, but just know that it's the mindset you're working from within, so you don't cause harm to people trying to do actual community work.
Yeah, man.
Because those are like, yeah, but those are like legit two different ways of thinking
Modes
about
of thinking.
working. And that's when people are like, not all skin folk.
It's kinfolk. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
That's where, that's where it comes from, in a sense, knowing that we're all black, and that's something in a white world, in a capitalistic world, racist world, ties us together. But that doesn't mean that every black person wants the same thing for all black people. So if you know who you are and where you stand in that spectrum, now it becomes much more easier to know who to work with, who not to work with, who to navigate with, who not to navigate with. That's one thing. That's like the personal stuff. And when it comes to like a community-based thing, I think we need to realize, and I feel honestly quite ashamed in a Belgian context, if you really realize how small Flanders is, how small Belgium is, that we've not been in this space where we were able to create lasting institutions. And I don't mean institutions that serve me, you, or whatever, that serve generations 50 years from today. And it feels like we're not thinking in that long-term way, which means we're creating things for our own selfish reasons and needs now. And if you look at the historical frameworks of diasporas all over the world, the most successful ones have been the ones who have been able to see 50 years from now and be like, oh yeah, we might need a cultural center owned, curated by, for, within the community. If we really cannot think in those terms, we're gonna have a lot of short-span individual projects that last for a while.
As long as the person is
there,
in the spotlight.
exactly.
A while.
Yeah. And then when that goes away, everyone in the community is like, but what happened to that? What happened to this? And then that's why also tying that into Black History Month and everything we've done or we're doing, always bringing in people that understand that it's not about her, it's not about me, it's not about you, it's about the community. So if you think us away from it, it still exists. If you think this generation away from it, it still exists because it's made to serve the community.
And I think that is also when people are surprised that, because a lot of people think that it was our job.
Yeah, but that's how much you guys work now.
Yes,
You did not sleep.
No cap.
Yeah.
And I think now too, with us leaving, that just shows that it's really not, we don't see it as our personal project that is like our whole life. It's really like we put really
Sleepless weeks.
Blood, sweat, and tears was real with this one.
Yes, we put a lot into, but it's not something that we it's not something that feeds on us, like, in that sense. It's not, and we don't need it to do that for us to put time into it. We don't need it to sustain us, for us to put all our effort into it and all our time and energy. Because we see it as something that, okay, we do that, but we hope that we can share that, and we really see it as something carried by a lot of people, and not just us, so that we don't mind like carrying a lot of it as while everyone's coming together, and hopefully, because for us, like, it's the biggest success is if we can leave it
behind. Just be like Chalmers.
That people don't really even see necessarily us working, and it's happening, and that's really how we are trying to set it up. Because a lot of times you've had people, like, we want Black History Month to be something where people can really work for Black History Month, and that is their job, but never from this perspective of job for us necessarily. It was always really to leave that as a legacy, that people can do that as a paid job, and that you always have that combination. Of course, you'll have the volunteers, but building something that is not really about us.
Amazing. As I can hear you two guys talk, it's very touching and amazing, and even gets me emotional.
Me too.
Because there is a vision behind it, and you see the need. You guys see the need, but sometimes I have the feeling like the community, they like to support not a vision, not a project, but to support a person. And how do you guys sometimes have the feeling like the community didn't get the vision, and how do you guys show the community like this, the needs that you have? Because we always think that we need to stand all behind this person, but no, we need to stand behind a vision, we need to stand behind a project, we need to stand behind an idea. How did you guys thought about it to bring it into Black History Month, into IO, into Muscat African Ball, for those projects to go forward? How did you guys do that?
I think like we've had to fight a lot against that, in the sense that people always saw like these projects as like personification of Muhammad, for example. Like it's always been it's always been like that, and I think with throughout the years that has been finding ways how to work around that, and to move away from that, even though it's not something you're moving towards, but it's what everyone is
projecting,
and it's and that has been difficult, and I think for how do we navigate that, really by working with teams, by not making it so I think for us, like, it's hard to, like, when people, for example, are interested in like, we don't really do a lot of personal interviews.
Is true.
We've had issues with that when it comes to a project that we're doing during Black History Month, and they want to do an interview about a project, and then we say like, oh, those are the people directly related to that project, and it's like, oh no, but we want you, and it's like, that's not how it works, like, because for us that's just not interesting. Like, I get that it can be like, we've done for us, it's like we can do one interview for people who want to know like more about how it came about. Obviously, that's something we can talk about. But once we've talked about that, there's nothing more to say, and that's not that shouldn't be central. That should be just something that you want to know more about that. You can find it here in this interview that we gave or that are there, but then really move away from that, and by having people in the team go front and center when it comes to talking about the projects, talking about what we're doing, really talk about what we're doing, and of course who we are then is important for why we do what we do, but to really start from what we do, and then from there
I think also for me being part of the team in Ghent, I remember in the group chat for Black History Month, the both of you just tell a bunch of you're doing that interview, but we don't want to do it. Like you can handle it. You're handling the project, so you should do the interview. And there were times indeed when I would think like, why don't Aminata and Mohammed? Why wouldn't you guys do it? But now I understand it. It's like I'm not busy with the project. Like you knew, of course, what was going on in the grand scheme of things, the different teams and the different cities and all of that stuff. But it's not like you're day in, day out busy with that certain project. And so you would really give the people who are busy with it the autonomy to actually have that interview and also get used to talking about activities they were doing and, just grow into that role. And so it's not something like I want to make it clear also, it's not just a theory, you guys actually put it into action. I've seen it in action. I've seen, you can go and scroll back to those text messages and see you guys really pushing people forward and saying, no, you can do it, I believe in you, you can handle it. Just do the interview, it will not last very long, and we trust that you have the message and that you will bring it to a good end,
I mean, for us, like the best moments is when we see other people in the team take ownership. When we see that they really put themselves out there, it's like, Black History Month is also like, that's also me, like that, because that's really what we want. Like we really want it to be Black History Month, and you can associate a lot of people to it, and not just Aminata Mohamed, and we know that's something that you need to like. It's not a given because it's an automatism almost for people to associate with us. So that's why we really have to push to it, and that's also on us. Like that's why we actively have to make sure that that we are very aware of that, and to make sure that we're not in the center. So for us, it's really like interview requests. For us, like this person or this person from the team, and if no one from the team can do it, then we'll just not do the interview.
It is not true.
And it's like
it's not happening.
Someone will have to do it. It's not going to be us. So and then there's nothing. It's okay. Like we're
fine.
And then white media gets mad.
They get mad.
Okay.
Wow, and and for me, that's how you create love, when you push other people in your own project, things that you have created, that you have the vision, but you see someone else who understands the vision, and you tell that person, like, come here, like, Ayo, like, I was like, ik kom van Bezo, like, I was stressing my ass out to be in hogeschool, and Mohamed was like, come in bestuur, like, what am I going to help? I 10 examples and so, you will make it, at least, exactly, like, he's like, you believe in me? Like, you think that I can do this? And now, like, I'm sitting in my last chair, and ik kan stagiaire zijn in Black History Month, like, and that's how you create love. And I think there's some things that we didn't even stop to think about it, because you were just acting And sometimes I'm like, oh my god, are we that close? Is this that close? But then you remember, but like when we are talking and I hear what you guys say, I'm like, oh my god, but that's actually how you create love, and that's how everything gets so perfect in allez, mandarin or so, you know?
Like different pieces working together.
You know, like it's a circle, you know, like, and maybe when you start, people will not understand. But this is how you create love, and this is how you create bonding with people. And my question will be like, do you guys feel that love right now? Do you guys create it? Like looking back now, you guys are living. Do you guys see the fruits from this love that you're creating here in Belgium with all these people? And how is that feel? How do you guys feel about it?
Yeah, I just wanted to say because like and because we've had another situation like similar story like you said. It's interesting how like you saying that, and then because for me I hear it's like, oh wow, because for us like when Mohammed was like, oh Kabea, she'll be a stagiaire, then it's like oh yes, we're so lucky because like,
the shirt is coming.
Yeah, okay, yeah, amazing. That's gonna be great. It's such a win for us.
Yeah, that's how you see it. Yeah.
And it's the same. You have like Jessica, is part of the
finance
visits, and now for I can't say too much, so I'm gonna see where I can have to censor myself. But for a project for next edition for Black History Month, like we were thinking, it's like this huge, great project, so it's very exciting, and for us it was immediately like, okay, she would be great to lead that project, and like for me that I really just see it like that, like they're going to be amazing at that. And that's it, and we had, because then we had a meeting, and I went along just to connect, and then
the dogs,
so that she wouldn't go like for the first time alone with people she doesn't know, so but I also I was there, and I really did not, after like some things were like taken care of, I was like, okay, I'm out, and I left. And then after she sent me, you'll know of course when you watch this, like she sent me a message. It's like, oh, thank you for like I'm really very excited. Thank you for trusting me with this project and having faith in me. It's like oh, I don't even think about it like that. Like
I'm just so thankful you're here.
Like you, like I mean, you're amazing. So like I think I see it as that. Like you're gonna be amazing at this. So like that's why I immediately think of you, and I have complete faith, and it's like things like that where it's I think feeling the love in that sense sometimes when people do come up to you and say how much it means to them, that for me that that's really what we do it for, because I'm not going to hide or that it's very hard. It's very hard, and I think for us too, like being in a relationship, combining it with.
We should have asked a question like that. How do you combine your relationship and all of these projects? Are there not fights that happen?
Yeah, it's very hard. Because we have our own like I was studying, Mohammed was working, we're in a relationship, and then we put in a lot of time in Black History Month.
Full-time job next day.
And we
just like throw that in.
We just both know that there's no part of us, we both know that we can't not put in all this work, because we just love it too much, even though it's hard, and you do think like if it wasn't because we love it so much, the project, we would have probably just been like,
The going gets tough, so we get going.
let me just do something that focus more on my own things.
Yeah.
But yeah, like for me, like I said, I'm very introvert person, and a lot of the events we organize are very much not events that I'm necessarily interested. So a lot of times I am like, I'm looking from the side,
You enjoy the.
I enjoy seeing how happy
and
people
elated,
are, and that like for me that is like, I don't need to be having the time of my life,
necessarily just being out there.
Yes,
that is so not Leo, by the way.
Yes,
so not
I know.
Leo live for that. They want to be the center of attention, literally. Yeah,
so
you're just like, nah, I'm
What
good.
kind of Leo is this? I never saw that.
I've never seen ever. Yeah.
It does. It confuses people because they do think like
Damn,
but it's really like for us, like it's just people are enjoying it, people are getting a lot out of it, and that's what we do it for.
I think also just in general, like we have thoroughly enjoyed all of the things, the roots that you guys have set up here. Also speaking for me, I came from high school, it's just extremely white, and then the first events that I went to were kind of like the things that you guys were doing, and that's where I found home, that's where I found community, and I just stuck. And there were times when I was MIA for a while, but it was like school was just a bit too demanding at that point, and I always knew I could go back, and it was always there to embrace me and to welcome me back, And sometimes right now we're talking about, we'll get back to the love question, but we were talking also about like the personification of the events to you guys and the projects to you guys. And so I also kind of made that mistake because in my head I'm wondering, you guys are leaving, so how are you guys going to come back and still be part of Black History Month? Like, how are you guys going to come back and still be part of this stuff that you guys have put down all of these years? Like, we feel like there's such huge shoes to fill, and how? And we still really do connect you to these things,
Yeah, I think like it's really because it's really not about like our shoes that need to be filled. I really see it as like this path that we're walking towards with a lot of different footsteps, a lot of different
shoes, some heels,
and so many that after all you hopefully can't even distinguish one separate shoe. That it's just like all a pattern of footsteps of all these different people that walk the path towards this
I'm gonna cry.
It's really that, and for us it's like we I think that's also what the points of like being open to out of the comfort zone, but especially the trust. Like we really do trust that the talent, the motivation, commitment is there, and that's what we get. Most of that love, it's really seeing you and like doing it, like you're making it happen, like, and I feel like that's probably what you all see and think like, oh, Aminata are making it happen, but we see it the other way where it's like, oh, look at them, they're like, it's like, and especially this year, that's why like because we get that a lot, like, aren't you worried? And it's like, no, we're really not. like with you and Philson, and with the help of Yes in this year as well, but for a big part, two sisters did like and we've been just sitting back and watching you do it. Like really, we've not been holding your hands, and the same with team people in Antwerp, and
But the support was there,
The
though.
support
I knew I
was,
could
and
call
that
Aminata and
was-
Mohammed
yes.
at 12 a.m. and
Yes.
just be like, we're freaking out.
and that's
Guys, calm us down. Like, what the hell is teacher
Yeah.
telling us? Can you just talk to them again because they're not getting the picture?
and that's
Okay.
not going away. That's what we like. The support will not go away because, regardless of the time difference, like you can call and we'll we can, if there's something and that's also what we feel, I guess, comfortable in being able, knowing that we'll continue to coordinate in a sense, like making sure that it's all tied together. We'll continue to support, but the on the ground work, we know that there's just way too many talented people. There's and then it's our job to think about how we get those talented people to realize their talents. And that's where we I'm thinking about, and a lot of times at random moments like, oh, maybe this is, because it's trial and error for us as well, like we thinking, oh, maybe this is a way to work, or maybe this is a way, oh, maybe this would work better, and then we see and we work from there and then see what works and what doesn't.
We also just have people close to us that are a bit older who we just know are supportive enough to like give tips, or who use like their resources from their expertise and range to also help us in the way we're trying to do what we do. And that's the amazing thing. And when you talk about love, that's that love. It's like knowing, those people that are older than us don't have the time as much to invest, but we know that, okay, here's something you might be able, money, check this and that. And I think it's about, how do you call it, like because when you're like how the community and following ideas and visions, or just following a person, I think that's something where it's about, if you feel and see something that's important or can be important to your own kids in a few years, because that's, I think, when we talk about vision, that's something people sometimes should realize, that, for instance, with a Black History Month, it's like what we are doing is literally in 20 years you're gonna reshape the way Black history in Belgium is gonna be taught in schools, in museums, in white spaces, in Black spaces, because we're all investing in it today. And
That's powerful.
And that's powerful. That's impact. And that's knowing, maybe I don't like you or whatever, but I know my kids. Exactly. But I know my kids are gonna benefit from the work you're trying to do. And if you can see it that way, then you're like, okay, so how can I help? Is it my time? Is it money? Is it lobbying? Is it speaking well in the rooms people are not present? It's like doing all those things, and then watching your own kids enjoy those fruits, because you're part of it. And I think that's something, if we as people can realize that, then you can transcend the, I don't like this person, or I don't know, whatever.
Competition.
Move away from there.
Because I mean, all of us work with, especially racist white people we don't like. So if you can work with them, like honestly, if you can do that and survive that for years, honey, you can do the same work in the community. Because you know, at your job, you know I'm getting paid. At the end of the day, I need my wallet and my
bread.
Now I just need that boy with the, what is his name from the Italy, from who just like to do it?
I think so, honestly, that for me, that's how I see it, because obviously we're all humans, we all have our flaws, we cannot be friends with everyone, but community work sometimes transcends friendship, transcends how you feel individually about people, but it should tell you more how you feel about your own people, and that should be the base. And I think, yeah, obviously, and the fun thing of what you were saying was actually what you and everyone else in the team has become and you're flourishing into. I think it's the same love you're gonna want to give to every other new person coming into the team. And that's how that love is sustained and given through, because you're like, oh yeah, when I came in, people really gave me a chance. People really believed in me. If I fuck up, they were like, man, we got this. We will patch through it. We're not gonna kick you because you made a mistake or whatever. We're gonna support you through that, knowing that feeling you're giving someone, it's way more important than them being
correcting
the perfect, the perfect whatever you need at that moment. So yeah, even if we make an event and there are like things, technically I would be like, actually I don't care about the technicalities, because I know every year we're getting better. Every year everyone in the team is upping their game. And then you have a team that does fantastic work.
Fantastic work. Because I remember, like, sometimes met het eerste bestuur van IO, sometimes I will come to a meeting and Mohammed was like, okay, she's about to beat someone. I was like, okay, you sit there. I saw like the stress. When I entered the room, I was like, okay, Kabea, you sit there, and you sit there, and I will just greet everyone, sit in my seat, and do what I had to do, but the Lord knows, I can't do
Story. Oh my gosh, the picture's in my head right now,
yeah. I think there were times that I was frustrated also this year. And then I would look, I would call Mohammed because I knew him longer. And I did not know if you could tell from my tone of voice, but I was just like, and like, no, Faiza, no. You were still not bent, like it was literally, this situation, you're not correct, but I will listen to you, get it off your chest, and we'll move on. And it's the space that you have given us, basically, to grow into the roles that we feel like we've been assigned to and also wanted to be a part of. The space that you've given us to be the best versions of ourselves in serving our community, that is commendable and something that we admire and something that we look up to, you know. I think in ways more, the events are then a product of all of that work and all of that space that you've given us. And so when we talk about shoes that needed to be filled, we are wondering if people in the future, people who are part of the community, are able to give that grace, are able to give that space, are able to give that space to just be the best version and to grow that potential that they already have in themselves, and know that, okay, you might be around spaces that do not necessarily believe that you have this in you, but we do. And we're going to continue to water that to the point where we don't have to do it anymore. And you're going to do it for somebody else. You know, that is the impact that you guys have had. And I knew this was going to be a situation where I'm crying, so here I am again. And we're going to miss you guys immensely, honestly. Like, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we will do it, and we will still call you. I don't know how many hour difference is there, 6-7 hours difference. We will call you and we will look for you, because wallahi, it's just been an amazing experience. I'm so proud of the both of you, you guys' journey, where you're going, what you have done so far, and it's just amazing. And I'm so thankful. We're both thankful to know you, to have you here. I'm not even part of MENJI, but I'm just here just for the vibes, you know. Just for the vibes. But wallahi, I'm so grateful. I swear, I'm so grateful. I'm going to come and see you if possible. You know, just be great. Be you. Continue doing what you're doing here, over there, and continue to inspire. Continue to create space. Continue to make us believe that we can be the best versions of ourselves. And inshallah, we'll pass the baton, and we'll do the same for other people, and they continue to do the same. And it's really the seeds of that labor that we will miss, but inshallah we can replicate, you know.
In your own ways,
in my own way. Sorry for going a tangent and being extremely emotional, but
It
it always happens with the both of you. It always happens. This is like the third time. You know, like, and I had to have my I don't know how my face looks, but it is what it is, you know. It's like I'm gonna miss both both of you guys so much.
No.
Yes, and I also just want to say is that I'm a person like, and I know that many people really misunderstood me. And when I entered IO, or even like for you guys just knowing me, it's like I really saw that you really saw my heart. You guys really saw my heart. And always has lived in that. Like many times that I will, like something will happen in the community and that thing will hurt me so bad, and that I was trying like maybe like to communicate to you or say something, but without saying many words, you always make me clear like you need to be stronger than that, and you know who you are. And every time you will call me for something, you will tell me to do this, you will tell me to do that. Even though I explode or I say something that you say like, but you always but you always had the capacity like to see like more than that. Like okay, okay, I will just put you there and like it will be okay. And thank you for that. For that trust, and I'm really thankful for you guys and Cruz haar, like everything y'all guys did.
Everything.
Like, hey, ik had 8 herexamens. Like, mijn eerste jaar ik kwam hier, ik had 8 herexamens, ik wou echt opgeven met studeren. Like, ik weet dat toen dat ging ook orthopedagogie en US Pijn moest om sociaal-cultureel werk te gaan doen en zo.
Wow.
Want ik kwam echt zo achter examens en ik zei van ik stop mijn school. En dan kwam dat ding van je kom in bestuur, zo ga ik in bestuur van een hogeschool aansluiten. En I really think so. Thank you. Thank you.
It's really, I mean, it's all love, and I think, that's when you see like what amazing things can happen. Because just acting out of that, it's moving from there, and we're very. I think we feel just very grateful as well. This is just like the most amazing way to live and have taking that knowing what has come out of this, like how like us being here on your show, like
literally
your show.
Yeah.
But the things that you said, by the way, we've talked about. She's come over to my place. We've had conversations about MENJI, and the same things you say are the same things you said. Really, like she's like, I just want it to be for people. I want to be able to be removed out of it, and then it still continue to be its own thing. Like these are things. Fusan says the same thing about things that she wants to do. So these are things that I hear with people that I love and who inspire me and who want to do something really in service of the people. It's not about them. Really, is in service of the people. What is that person who has like difficult house situation? Are they going to be on their feet because of the things that you guys have put, because of the things that you guys have co-created and have started? And the answer to that is yes. And that's an amazing thing. And it does not matter what your location is, the result will still be the same. And inshallah, you guys can continue doing that with all of the stress of being somewhere new and all of that stuff. But that could still be something that is new. And please share with us. Come again. Tell us about what you're doing in the States and all of that stuff,
MENJI video conference.
Hey, if the pandemic taught us anything, it taught us that it's possible to have this conversation virtually,
Is there something that you guys want to say? A last word. So we can go and cry behind the camera. I want to keep crying.
But this is food. Thanks.
I don't know. I feel like it's such I like the notes, and we're like I don't want to too far away from that. I think we'll be back. I think that will be. I think I'm already excited of next time somewhere together to see just how everything is flourishing.
Yeah.
Because that's the positive energy we're putting out there. So
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to say a lot.
No, I think another thing, us leaving in a way also feels as part of our own individual destinies Allah has blessed us with. And I think we're always going to figure out a way how to use whatever new skills, knowledge we're getting wherever we are, how we can use that in service of the communities here and also where we're going in the ways possible. So I don't feel like us leaving is a loss. I think it's a win in two ways, because it's gonna help everyone here now to maybe realize a few things
Yeah, absolutely.
and step
Up.
forward and step up. But it's also gonna allow us, just like when I had to go to Denmark, just like you had to go to Australia.
I'm glad I made this connection.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about it on the plane for those 12 hours, just have that conversation.
Yeah, I think those two spacings is gonna help us grow further into doing better. And for instance, Wakishima is only like next 2022 is the 5th year, so that means we've given 5 years, and then I'm looking forward to the 10th, 15th, 20th, where we will just be there chilling, probably with our kids, just like with the kids, and we'll be like, yeah, you go, get it.
But get me something to
Yeah, respect your elders, eh?
Of me. Hey.
Come
we
here.
have to continue the tradition. We have to continue the tradition, like just like them telling us what to do now. We have to tell what to do now. The tradition has to continue.
That, and exactly, and just being in those
Get me the
spaces,
remote, it's here.
all of that,
Just yes.
and just like enjoying and knowing that that's it, or just like, for instance, maybe reading something somewhere like, oh yeah, that person used to be on vacation. Oh my gosh, look what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's that amazing feeling.
Absolutely.
And I think us leaving creates this space for people to grow again. And by you guys growing and stepping up, the space that you leave, someone else enters into as well.
Yeah. And they embraced each
other. Yeah, and they will be embraced with the same
love
and positive energy
time,
and
space.
patience.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Faiza, for being my co-host. Like, it makes me so emotional because, like, when I was talking to her, I said, like, even though MENJI, like, it's a pandemic and it's everything, and you have me and one guest, but, like, my dream will be, like, having all my wonderful Belgian sisters and so mindful and so good, outspoken to be here with me. So I didn't even believe that would be so fast happening, but look at her co-hosting with me. Thank you for
I love you, babe. I love you, babe.
Thank you, Mohamed, for
Thank
coming.
you.
I know you are
Absolutely.
leaving soon, but you made time to be here. To
Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys.
In this, in
definitely.
MENJI, in me, for always doing that. Thank you, Aminata, being here and speaking. And for me to have this video, I told Mohamed, for me to have this from you guys in MENJI, so that years later we can
Look back at it
and see this and see how everything grows, how everyone is growing. Thank you for the love, and everyone that watches us. If you go to the end, you miss it. You had everything. You had the blessing. You didn't.
The knowledge. The knowledge.
Because this girl, I'm not cutting anything. It's 2 hours, 3
It
hours.
is what it is, baby.
Thank you so much.
We love you.
We love you guys. Bye.
Bye.